Everyone remembers the cozy version: porridge, chairs, beds, and the phrase, "just right." But the very first written version, hidden in a manuscript from 1831, tells a very different story. A vagrant old woman, not a child, broke into a house that was not hers. The bears were not a family, but 3 bachelors. Instead of porridge, it was milk. Instead of a gentle escape, the tale ends with harsh retribution. The earliest ending includes 3 brutal attempts at punishment. First trying to burn her, then trying to drown her, and finally throwing her onto a church steeple. This is not about curiosity. It is trespass and punishment, dressed up as a nursery tale. So why was the truth buried? And how did the original intruder vanish from history? A slim, hand-bound book sits in the Toronto Public Library, its faded cover marked in careful script. The story of the 3 bears, metrically related, with illustrations. Inside, watercolors and verse reveal the earliest surviving record of the tale. Eleanor Muir, a watercolorist and the daughter of a barrister, created this manuscript in September 1831 as a birthday gift for her 4-year-old nephew, Horace Broke. Every page is evidence: her handwriting, her drawings, her date and signature, anchoring the story to a real moment in a real home: Cecil Lodge. Moore did not invent the story from scratch. She called it a celebrated nursery tale, which hints at a rougher oral tradition already circulating in Britain. But hers is the first version that survives in physical form, and it is nothing like the bedtime fable most remember. The manuscript's intruder is not a golden-haired child, but an ugly old woman, drawn with sharp features and described in the text as impudent and unwelcome. The 3 bears, bachelors living together, prepare bowls of milk before heading out, leaving their home vulnerable. This book, lost for over a century before its rediscovery in 1951, is the smoking gun that proves the familiar Goldilocks is a later invention. Its pages lock in the original details: the old woman, the bachelor bears, the milk, and the escalating violations that follow. Every detail is authenticated by Muir's own hand, preserved in the Osborne collection, making it impossible to dismiss the record as hearsay or embellishment. Muir's manuscript opens with a clue that most retellings erase. The title page calls it a celebrated nursery tale. That small phrase signals a history older than the book itself, a sign that this version was shaped by years of oral telling rather than invented on a whim. The details inside confirm it. The 3 bears are described as bachelors who set out bowls of milk before leaving their cottage. Not porridge, but milk, poured into pannikins and left to cool. This is not a cozy breakfast scene. It is a domestic routine, and the choice of milk over porridge hints at a different world of household habits, one closer to the realities of rural Britain in the early 1800s. The intruder is an old woman, and the manuscript leaves no room for misunderstanding. She is described as impudent, bad, and ugly. The text makes clear she enters without leave, by intent. Each violation is spelled out. She tastes the milk from every bowl, chooses the one that is just right, and drinks it all. The chairs and beds are next, each tested and judged until the smallest is broken or taken. The language is blunt, almost legalistic, as if the manuscript is documenting offences rather than spinning a bedtime yarn. Every detail feels deliberate. Milk, not porridge. Bachelors, not a family. An intruder, not a guest. These clues, preserved in Moira's own handwriting, set the foundation for what follows. A story built on trespass and retribution, not curiosity and chance. Once the bears leave their cottage, the house stands silent. A simple home. 3 bowls of milk, cooling on the table. The door is neither locked nor watched. An old woman appears at the threshold, not by mistake, but with purpose. She enters without pause, a stranger in a private space. Her first act is to taste the milk. She tries the biggest bowl and finds it too hot. The middle bowl is too cold. The smallest is just right, and she drinks it down to the last drop. The sequence is methodical, not random. Each choice follows the same pattern: test, reject, consume. She moves to the chairs. The largest is uncomfortable. The next is too soft. The smallest chair holds her weight for only a moment before it breaks beneath her. The manuscript lists these actions plainly, as if recording evidence. Each item is not just touched, but used, judged, and in the case of the little chair, ruined. Her search ends in the bedroom. She tries each bed in turn, dismissing the first 2, then settling into the smallest for sleep. There is no hint of remorse or second thought. The old woman occupies the bed as if it were her own, closing her eyes in a stranger's house. By the time the bears return, every part of their home has been violated. What began as a single act of trespass unfolds into a series of escalating offences: consumption, destruction, and finally, occupation. The return of the bears is not a moment of confusion or mercy. Their home has been violated, every comfort tested, broken, or stolen. In Eleanor Muir's manuscript, the response is swift and absolute. The old woman is caught, and the story turns from trespass to judgment. The bears do not simply scold or let her flee. Instead, they become judges and executioners, delivering punishment in a sequence as methodical as her crimes. First, they set her on the fire. The verse is blunt. The bears then set her on the fire and roasted her brown. There is no fantasy of escape, no gentle lesson, only the image of a body roasting. The heat meant to match the outrage. Yet, the story refuses to end there. The fire is deemed too hot, so the punishment shifts. The bears drag her to water and attempt to drown her. The text reads, "But then they thought it was too hot and threw her in the water, which cooled her very well. Adzooks." The old woman survives again, soaked but alive, the punishment incomplete. Still unsatisfied, the bears carry out a final act. They take her to a church and, in a gesture both bizarre and chilling, throw her up onto the steeple as high as the cock, the weather vane at the top. There she is left, perched above the town, exposed and humiliated, a warning in plain sight. The sequence is relentless. Fire, water, height. Each attempt is more theatrical, more public. In Moore's telling, there is no forgiveness, only a parade of punishments that ends not with escape, but with spectacle. In 1837, Robert Southey published The Story of the Three Bears in his book, The Doctor, giving the tale its first wide audience. Southey kept the intruder as a dirty, wandering old woman, but softened the ending. She escapes by jumping out a window and vanishes instead of facing punishment. The bears remain three bachelors, their home still a place for trespass, not family warmth. By 1850, Joseph Cundall released a new version for children. Now the trespasser is no longer an old woman, but a little girl named Silver Hair. Cundall explained the change. There were already too many stories about old women. The bears, too, begin to shift from three male companions to a father, mother, and baby bear. Over the next decades, Silver Hair becomes Goldilocks, and the bears settle into the familiar family unit. Each rewrite erases a bit more of the original menace, replacing it with innocence and comfort. Victorian England braced itself against the threat of the outsider. Laws like the 1824 Vagrancy Act defined who belonged and who did not, branding anyone who wandered or who entered without permission as a danger. In that climate, stories of home invasion became warnings. Folklorists trace the old woman in Muir's manuscript to these anxieties. Her ragged appearance and unwelcome entry echo the era's fear of vagrants, and Muir's telling reads less like a nursery rhyme and more like a social warning about trespass. Some scholars push the roots even deeper, pointing to a tale called Scrapefoot, where the intruder was not human, but a fox or a vixen. The word vixen blurs animal and scold, which made it easy for an oral tale about a clever predator to become a story about a troublesome old woman. The shift from animal to human, and then from vagrant to child, shows how the tale absorbed changing social fears. The most common myths, that Goldilocks was always a little girl or that the bears were always a family, melt away under the weight of the evidence. What survives is the story's real legacy, a warning about trespass shaped by the fears of its time. The story still lingers because the fear it taps, of home violated and of the stranger inside, never goes away. Even as we soften the tale, the anxiety stays. Every fairy tale we retell says as much about our world now as about the world that first needed the warning. Share your thoughts below.